I got this great invitation today because there is a connection, trading. You know, you've seen one of the projects, trade up from an apple to a house in Hawaii, and I would like to talk about this today. So it's called How to Barter for Paradise. So I traveled through 14 countries around the world, trading up from that apple to a house in Hawaii, and a camera team followed me around the world. This was like a German TV show, so I had like 7 months travel, all continents, with a camera guy and a sound guy, doing all these trades with me. So we go back 30 years ago. This is me, 8 years old, in Germany. I grew up close to Frankfurt, and I had a dream. I had a dream, a house in Hawaii. You know, in Germany, Hawaii is something very exclusive. You know, it's tropical, it's the other side of the world, so people do dream about Hawaii. And this was one of my dreams, and I thought, maybe one day I would like to have a house, one day, in Hawaii. So, but I grew up, I graduated from high school, and I did all these television and book projects, and this one, How to Travel the World for Free, was pretty successful. You know, it was on national television in Germany, on PBS in America, and so on. And one of the networks in Germany, you know, approached me one day and said, look, this was pretty good. Can you do something similar? You can choose whatever you want to do, just make a TV show out of it. I was like, okay, easy. Yeah? I got a dream. I want to have a house in Hawaii. Let's just try to get it by trading. Yeah, I want to be a trader and turn an apple into a house in Hawaii. Time limit, 200 days around the world. So here you see me in Frankfurt, Germany, starting with an apple. Unfortunately, I did bite into that apple because I was hungry. So I had a bitten apple to start. What do you do first? You know, I approached a person on the street. He was a smoker, cigarette smoker. And I said, okay, can you trade anything more valuable for the apple? And he said, okay, I want to quit smoking. 16 cigarettes for you, the healthy apple for me. Then the cigarettes turned into a bottle of wine, into into a book, and so on. So the first couple of trades were pretty easy, fun trades. People are like, yeah, I want to join this great experiment. So here I am, a couple days later, in the city of Cologne in Germany. And you see, I already have 50 bottles of smoothies. Value, $100. So after a week, from like an apple, 30 cents, to like $100, 50 smoothies, that was a great start. So here, I ended up, by coincidence, on a demonstration. It was an anti-nuclear demonstration, so not really a kind of a trader surrounding, but I think you can trade anywhere in the world. And that's why I didn't care about what's going on around me. I just talked to people, and I met a person, a farmer, and he said, look, I live outside the city, join me, and we're gonna go into my barn, and we find something interesting to trade. So I found something pretty good, pretty interesting, and it was called Herman. So here we go, Herman, pretty good trading object, but now the first real problem. You know, I had to fly from country to country. This was a world travel. So Herman cannot be taken in the airplane. So I had to trade to something very small. You know, and nothing really happened. You know, people were not interested, like giving me like a watch, a valuable watch or something. So I did a very bad trade. Just like 10 books written in German. So if you fly to India and you're in India with like 10 books, you know, written in German, people are not interested in those books because, you know, people in India are pretty practical and they're like, look, it doesn't make sense for us. So all I got for the 10 books were 10 pounds of tea, something which doesn't have a real value, high value in India. So basically the beginning, if we look at it, first I traded up. I thought everything is going to be easy, and then within a couple days I traded down. You know, value $3. You know, that's, you probably know this from trading. Yeah? Up and down, you never know where it's going to go. So basically, here I had a new strategy. I didn't want to trade, you know, the tea for something else. I set a goal. I said, the next trade has to be a tuk-tuk, a 3-wheel motorized Indian taxi. So it took me 3 weeks to get that tuk-tuk. How could I turn 10 pounds of tea into the tuk-tuk? I offered additional services. So what kind of services? So basically, I tried anything, but no. So anyway, so I met this guy. So I met a lot of people, and I met this owner of a yoga center in India, and and he needed a video, a promotional video for his yoga center. And I'm a filmmaker, so I said, hey, awesome, this is a deal. I produce a video on the side, and then we do the trade. So I produced a video, easy for me, half a day of filming, half a day of editing. That's my expertise, and we did this trade. So, next strategy, turn a product into a nicer product to raise its value. So here we go. How can you turn this tuk-tuk into a really beautiful one? There we go. So some people say higher value, some people say lower value. It's a matter of taste. So basically, I approached wealthy people in India with a tuk-tuk, and I was pretty lucky. I met a silk producer. So he said, okay, the tuk-tuk, I don't know if I ever use it, but it's kind of a funny vehicle you got there. I'm producing silk, so it's not a big investment for me. I give you 250 feet of silk. So this was good, but in India it doesn't really have a high value. So here my next strategy, cross cultures and go where the silk has a high value. So I moved on to Australia, Northern Territory, Darwin. Here, another strategy. So I develop new strategies every couple of days. I had to. So basically, I meet this person. He's the boss of the Northern Territory Tourism Board in Darwin, in Australia, Mr. Sani. And how could I meet him? Basically every day I was on the computer from now on for at least 2 or 3 hours, and I contacted people on social media, via email, and I approached wealthy people. Do you want to trade with me? So this person, Mr. Sani, said, okay, I want to do this. I'm going to take the silk and I'm going to trade something value $5,000. But what else can you offer? So he was actually requesting the additional service, and I offered labor, blah, and he said, no, I want to have fun. I'm a little bit bored up here in the Northern Territory. Do a little challenge. I want to see you scared, and I want to laugh. So I know you guys take a lot of risks when you trade. This was the riskiest situation during the entire trip. I've done it because I had that dream, the house in Hawaii. I would not do it again. So here we go, $5,000 value. It's an Aborigines painting from a painter who exhibits in Chicago, in London, in Melbourne, and so on. Value $5,000. So I went back, checked my emails, and I got an answer from a person I had approached, and some of you probably know him, Jim Rogers. Billionaire Jim Rogers, living in Singapore, American billionaire. He answered. So it's very difficult to get in touch with these very wealthy people, but he's also a traveler. He broke some world records, 100 countries, 100 days, etc. So he was interested in it, and he said, okay, I'm going to trade with you. You can come to Singapore, half an hour, you get half an hour appointment with me, but I don't want that painting. I want jade, the green stone of jade, because he is a jade collector. So if you can turn this into jade within 21 days, you get an appointment. So I had to go to a jade country. So there is, for example, China, a very typical jade country, but not easy, filming permission, etc. So I chose New Zealand for different reasons. I mean, you can film there, you can do your stuff, it's pretty laid back. And here was a new strategy. I know people from New Zealand, and they always told me, yeah, it's such a great country, but we are at the end of the world. No one really cares about us. It's we're kind of forgotten all the way down there. So I know that people like to get some attention, so I approached the jade producers and traders in New Zealand, and they said, great, a camera team from Germany, we want to get some attention. Awesome, let's do a fun trade. So here we go. Here I am with Tom, and he trades this very beautiful stone and valuable stone of jade. So now I could fly from New Zealand to Singapore to meet Jim Rogers. So very excited, first time in my life to meet a billionaire. And there we are, in his gold and silver room, Chinese gold and silver room. So we have a 30-minute conversation, about, do you like the jade? What do you want to have? And he made it difficult first. He was like, it's not good jade. I imagined something else. And I was completely surprised because I thought this is an easy, fun trade, but he's a businessman and he doesn't make it easy, obviously. So anyway, a long discussion about the quality of my jade, and he was generous at the end of the meeting. 3 ounces of gold and 3 ounces of silver for the jade. Why was this the best product I could trade during the whole trip? Because it's small, I can take it, in the airplane to another Asian country, and to trade gold and silver is so easy because everyone can go to the bank and just get cash from it. So this is like the best trading product ever. So first I went to Thailand, no trade worked out, and then I moved on to Tanzania, Eastern Africa. So my camera team was asking me, okay, look, this is a really great and funny trip, but seriously, why do you go to Africa? And why do you want to visit the Hasabe tribe, a really secluded tribe living under trees? I mean, they don't have a house in Hawaii, obviously. And I said to them, look, you can trade anywhere in the world. Let's see whatever is going to come out of it. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I always wanted to meet tribes and see how they live. That was my passion. So let's see. Something is going to work out. So here we go. On the left side, you see Onuas. He's the leader of the tribe. And you see me with the Hasabe monkey hair hat. So this was our trade. So he didn't want to have the gold or silver. That was nothing they could use. But he liked my base cap. They've never seen a base cap before. And he was like, wow, I want to wear that. So the hat I'm wearing is the monkey hair hat. And the men of the tribe do wear that monkey hair hat when they kind of show the ladies, hey, we're ready, let's kind of have a little bit of fun. So I got this monkey hair hat, and believe me, for some people it doesn't have a value. It's something like funny. But if you go to the right collectors, for them it's a really high value. So this worked out. Visiting the Hasabe tribe was great. So basically, what happened now? I went back to Arusha in Tanzania. I met a lot of people, like a wealthy coffee producer. He connected me to a travel agency and to a collector. So all people together helped me, and we had an awesome deal. I traded the monkey hair hat against a travel voucher. This is like a travel voucher, 2 people flying to Tanzania, climbing Kilimanjaro, having a great 3-week vacation in Africa. So value, $10,000. So this was the step up. And now you see another strategy. Because from now on, I couldn't just travel with one product. I took presents. Some people gave me presents along the way. That was great. And often I traded one product for 2 products, because if the product is valuable, like $10,000, who can trade one good? Often two goods are easier to trade. So a week later, I am already in the Eastern European country of the Ukraine. And here I already have several goods. The travel voucher, the gold and silver. I got a present from a Ukrainian pop star, like an image, like a painting. I got books. And from a Ukrainian priest, I got a Bible from 1748. And I approached 2 girls in the Ukraine, and we produced a video. And they were like kind of cute and talking to a person called Peter and saying like, hey Peter, we really like you. We are the cute girls from the Ukraine. Come and visit us one day. Why did I produce that video? Because I was supposed to meet Peter, a wealthy person in Portugal. So here was my strategy. First, when I come and visit him, I want to give him a present. And that's the video, and I know he likes the women. So he looked at the video, and he was like, oh, that's so awesome. 2 girls in Ukraine. He's like in the 70s, and they're like in the late 20s. They're inviting me. They're inviting me to Ukraine. I mean, that's good. So he was in a good mood. And now I could trade the Bible. He's a collector. He's a collector of historical items. I could trade the Bible for this historical ivory watch. And this watch is from 1512. It's an ivory watch. It was used by a Portuguese explorer when he traveled to India. So in the right collector scene, this has a very high value. So he was happy about all this, and he gave me this incredible historical watch. So now I'm flying from Portugal to Brazil with my camera team. And now, what would you expect? Palm trees, beautiful women, beach. Right. This is what I got. Why do they look German? Because this is a village in the south of Brazil, and Germans in the 19th century emigrated here to the United States, but also to South America. So there are a couple villages where the German culture of the 19th century is preserved. You know, they look more German than the Germans in Germany look like. So people really wear like all these traditional dresses, and they do all these traditional events, and they speak a German of the 19th century. So here it was the same strategy than before. Go where people like to get a certain attention, like in New Zealand. So these people were incredibly happy that a German camera team was coming over to do this trading story with them. So they were extremely helpful in my trading plan. So here on the right you see Stefan. He is a Volkswagen Beetle collector. And we did a kind of an agreement and a new strategy. So basically, he offered me to do a competition against him. And the deal was, if he is going to win that competition, he can choose the most valuable product I have. It's gone. It's his. If I win the competition, I get his Volkswagen Beetle, one of his Volkswagen Beetles. So here we go. Competition, bicycle versus Volkswagen Beetle. Some people say I've cheated, it wasn't really fair. There is a lot of pressure when you trade for your dream, so yeah. Anyway, I won. He was okay. He said, look, I got 5 of these Beetles. So what do you do now? My next country was the United States. I couldn't take this to the United States, so I did a couple more trades. So basically at the end of my stay in this village, everything looked a bit different. So here we go. The car was traded to like very valuable porcelain and a smartphone. I still had the watch, I still had the travel voucher and the gold. So taking the airplane to the United States, and here a new strategy. I was like thinking, okay, how would Americans like to trade with me? Because now it's the final stage. I mean, I'm far away from my house, and I thought about the Superman, the superhero image. And I know many people here in the US, they like the superheroes like Batman, Spider-Man, and so on. So I just went to a store and I bought with my cameraman this costume. Normally it's Flash. So we just changed Flash a little bit and turned it into Barterman. The new superhero who trades. And my idea was, hey, hopefully I can entertain people enough as Barterman, not as Michael Wigge anymore, so that they are willing to do a good trade, because now it's the final stage. Here we go. Barterman appears in New York City.
Barterman! Barterman!
What a superhero, right? I mean, anyway, so I had a couple of trades in New York City already. I got like some art and so on. But I want to jump to the West Coast. So 2 weeks later, I was in the Bay Area. Oh, Barterman was there. It was not me anymore. It was Barterman. So Barterman got an invitation to a Comcast a television show, Chronicle Live. Normally it's a sports show. They only invite like real sportsmen, but somehow Comcast said, look, Barterman is a kind of a sportsman. Let's talk about his story. So this was the incredible chance, to request further trades here in the Bay Area. You see the sign, germanbarterman@gmail.com. People could call in or write to Barterman that they want to trade with him. And he got a couple of more trades. For example, like a record contract. I mean, some of you may know the singer Koti Mundi. He had a role in like Miami Vice, and he had a band in the 80s. So he traded a contract for his new single release, and the contract was a participation 25% of all royalties. So there were really interesting trades. So basically, 2 weeks later, this is LAX, and I had 9 different products. So gold and silver, travel voucher, the porcelain, 2 bikes, and so on. Value, $30,000. So now I was flying to Hawaii, to my final destination. So, big dream of mine to be here in Hawaii. And now, this was like the huge challenge. If you go to Honolulu to trade a house, the house costs normally $1 million plus. So I knew Honolulu is not going to do it. Is there any area in Hawaii which is kind of low budget and where people trade? And there is one. It's on Big Island, Hawaii, and it's the eastern coast. It's called Puna, and it's an area which has the lava zone too. So people haven't built any hotels. It's not commercialized because there is a risk that the volcano kind of sweeps away your house. So this is an area, property is cheap. You can get a quarter of an acre for like 20 grand, for example. And the community in Puna, in the eastern part of Big Island, is very alternative, a little bit hippie-ish. So they do trade, service for some food, and they are really open for some barter deals. So here we go. I approached the press, the local newspaper, and they interviewed Barterman. So here the title page of the newspaper, Barterman seeks house. Same deal then in San Francisco. Next morning, everyone reads the newspaper, and I get a lot of emails and phone calls of people who are really willing to barter, to trade. So here we go. This is Peter, and he builds tiny houses in Hawaii. And we got a deal, 4 of my 9 goods to him for a tiny house. I was like, okay, that's good. It's not a villa, but a tiny house is better than no house. So here's Bill. Bill owns a jungle property, quarter of an acre, in the village called Volcano Village. So it's called Volcano Village because, there is this volcano kind of like in the background. So he said, look, whatever, who knows, whenever the volcano is the lava flow is gonna start again. I wanna trade my quarter of an acre land for the other 5 products you got, like there was the valuable watch I traded in Los Angeles, there was the porcelain, and so on, 5 different goods from him. But now there was a problem. I mean, it was great already. I got a tiny house, I got a quarter of an acre, but the tiny house and the land were almost at a distance of 30 miles. How do you bring that tiny house to the land? So I contacted the local truck company, and we did another trade. So basically, this guy was really generous, and he said, I'm going to transport that house over the island to your property just if you promise me to send me like the DVD series of the whole show. That was all he wanted, like 5 DVDs about the show, and he did it. So really, really generous people on my way, especially here at the end in Big Island, Hawaii. So basically, you just see here like heavy machinery. So where did this come from? The neighbors were really helpful. They offered us like material to kind of restructure the house, to get rid of all the grass. So a lot of people just helped. They were attracted by the story, and they said, okay, we want to make this happen, that you have a great result. So another week later, we painted this. We had like an extra little building on the side from all the material. This was the final result. Quarter of an acre of land plus this little tiny house great result, not a villa, but a great result at the end of this incredible trip. So if I look back now, 200 days around the world from an apple to this house, I took a lot of risks, first of all. I almost lost my arm to a crocodile, let's just face it, And I had to develop a lot of strategies, like crossing cultures, being barterman all of a sudden, and offering additional services, and so on. So I always had to reinvent myself. And finally, and this was the most important thing, I had certain situations during this trip, I really thought this is not gonna happen. I was really scared that this whole project is just too big for me. But I kept trying, and I think that's the most important thing. Always keep trying to reach your goals. Thank you very much for listening to me. It was a pleasure to be here. And if anyone is interested, I got a couple books here. I got business cards. Whoever is interested in booking me as a speaker or a business coach, just take my cards. I'm going to put them on your table later on. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for this great invitation. Have a nice meeting day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.